On this episode of Barbecue and Bolts, best four-wheel drive vehicles for under $5,500 and beef brisket.
Those damn hicks! What are they doing?
For all red-blooded gearheads who love their RPMs high and their barbecue smoking, welcome to Barbecue and Bolts, where we dig into cars of all kinds, from beaters to burners, and then trade the grease in our nails for barbecue sauce, beer, and good friends. Hang on, cause you're riding shotgun with Barbecue and Bolts.
Welcome to Barbecue and Bolts, second episode. We're here in the beautiful Northwest. It's a bluebird day, and what do we get, like 360 days of sunshine here in the Northwest?
Last count, yeah. That was the last 10
Or
years.
rain, one of the two. Yeah. But anyways, today that's Mountain Baker behind us. Beautiful, beautiful day out.
Should have been up there skiing.
Right now we're just in the beginning of March 2018, and I came up here to hang out with my brother-in-law Jeff. You've seen him from episode 1. And this time we're doing the $5,500 and under four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive cars you can get as of this week. So I got a bunch of the guys that I was on the Roadkill Nation challenge with to chime in also. Those guys are sending me their videos, so that'll be cool to hear from them. That was almost 3 years ago that we did that, 2.5 years ago, that we all got to drive 707 horsepower cars all week with Freiberger and Finnegan. And that was a really fun time. All right, my top 3 picks for $5,500 and under. Now, granted, I live in Seattle, so it's gonna be like, I'm gonna throw in a commuter car there too. I know a lot of the guys like to throw in the just the hardcore four-wheel drives, but you gotta commute. You gotta commute. If you got a job or if you just live near a city, you can't just be driving around a 70s car that can brake all the time, or maybe you can. I don't know. So my number 1 choice, of course, these are all cars we usually have owned or want to own, probably each individual. But my first choice would be the Ford Excursion. What do you know? Surprise! I found a 2000 Ford Excursion. You know, it had a little over 200,000 miles on it, but it was the limited edition. Granted, it didn't have the diesel. Diesels go for a lot more, you know, especially if they're not rusted out. They're gonna go for like 15, 20 grand, at least on the West Coast here. I picked the V10 just because it was cheap, and it gets about 10 to 12 miles per gallon. It's not that great, but it holds the whole family, and you can go skiing in it. You know, my wife drives it in Seattle sometimes on a commute, comes home crying because it's so awful. I mean, the thing's clapped out. It's all wore out everywhere, and that's probably going to be part of our next Barbecue and Bolts episodes. Ooh. Jeff's going to come up and help me fix it. Number 2, I would say Toyota 4Runner, and I'm strictly talking, it's great for dogs when the back window can roll down like that. And we had one for 5 years, and I'm talking like the 2003 to later models, and those are just beginning to be around 55, 6 grand. And you know, look for 6 grand cars and offer them 55. So that's a good way to search for them. And my last one, I'm not gonna be too popular for this one, but my last one is the Honda Element. I know it's an ugly box of turds, but if you get an all-wheel drive and it's slow, you know, I just like different cars, and I guess it reminds me of when I moved to LA like a decade ago, and I was surfing and I was snowboarding, and maybe it's just the
ugliest car ever made, except for those cute things.
It's just a box on top of a CRV, so you know, it could be the CRV. My wife wants a CRV. So those are my picks.
At least we know who has the taste in that family. Oof, an Element.
Yeah, an Elements. I'm just talking about something to get around town though, and people can, you know, tint the windows so nobody can see.
There you go. You'd have to. I'd never get to sit in it.
Okay, your
number 1 easy, 2000 Expedition. Car is the best thing I've ever driven in snow. It has to do with something with the balance, the wheelbase, whatever. But that thing is great in the snow. Easy to load up if it's, you know, 2-4 people. Go anywhere. Tow's great.
Or 6 people in your case.
Yeah, 6 people. Yeah, that's right. I had the 3rd row. It was nice back in the day when somebody would put in a headrest on a third row for me. The newer models have it, which you, like you say, the later 2000s, like 2004 or 5, I think, is when they put headrests in the third row.
And those are built on the F-150 platform.
That's right.
And it has the V8.
Yep.
And then the Excursion's built on the F-250 platform, and they tried to put a V8 in there, and it's a turd.
No.
So then they put the V10, which gets terrible gas mileage, but then they put the diesel.
Which is the way to go for an Excursion.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. And you can still find them up in Canada.
You can what?
Find them up in Canada.
You can still find them down here too.
Yeah, that's true. It's cheaper.
Okay, anyways, enough about my Excursion.
Yeah. Well, that's my second choice is Excursion.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Excursion.
You can, any year, well, up till 2005, 2006.
Well, they stopped making them in 2005.
Yeah, that's why I can never find a 07. So.
I've been looking for an 07 this whole time.
It's not there. Anyways, just a little bit longer. That's the one drawback of the Expedition is the room. There's hardly any behind that third row. But with the Excursion, you can't beat it. Sure, a lot of cars better gas mileage, but with the diesel, who cares? 12-quart oil change is kind of a killer, but it's worth it.
That's definitely not under 5,500 though.
True. True.
You'd have to be the V10.
Oh, maybe I'm in Canada.
Okay, what's your third choice?
S10 Blazer. Not with the little, what was it?
2.86?
No.
I had one with the 2.8.
Don't go that route.
And you had the 4.3.
Yeah, now you're talking.
And I was always jealous of your 4.3 because I had the 2.8 and then I blew it up like I do every engine. Well, and my dad helped me rebuild it and it just never really ran.
It was awful engine for that kind of car. I had one for a long time. It was great in the snow, great for skiing, great for camping. Towed okay, but certainly like the Fords better, but if we're saying 3, that's it.
Let's check in with all the guys I was on the show with and see what their picks are.
Hey, I'm Erik from Velocity Labs, and this is my top 3 all-wheel drive cars for under $5,500. Ah, hell, I'm cheap. Let's break the rules and go under $3,000. First up, the very best first, the DSM. Although, I might be a little partial because that's my car as well. Why is this number 1? Well, first off, it's a turbo. The performance on these cars is excellent, and it's easy to make big horsepower. I slapped an HX35 off of a Dodge Cummins pickup on this thing, and it's making over 400 horsepower at the wheels. And that's all on a stock motor. Plus, it's got really good looks. Sleek, sharp lines, pop-up headlights, and a gorgeous Japanese sports car design. And then last up, reliability. Well, actually, it's not reliable at all, but who cares? It's fast as hell. The next car on the list, coming in at number 2, is the EJ22 Subaru Legacy with a manual transmission. Why is this on the list? Does it have good looks? I mean, it's not bad for a 90s car. Performance? Not bad, especially if you get the turbo version. Although it's not going to blow your socks off, it does move. Get one with a manual transmission and that car will take you 1,000,000 miles if you keep up on the maintenance. No overheating or head gasket issues with the EJ22. It's one of the most reliable motors that Subaru has ever made. And coming in at number 3 for one of the best all-wheel drive cars for under $3,000, a first-gen Honda CR-V with a manual transmission. Noticing a trend here? Manual. Honda makes super reliable cars, but garbage automatic transmissions. Get a manual transmission CR-V and it will be a reliable all-wheel drive workhorse for years. And the looks aren't bad at all. The CR-V was one of the first small SUVs that are so popular nowadays, and it still looks good. Performance? It's a Honda B-Series engine, so nothing really to write home about. But it's reliable and good looking. So that's it. That's my top 3 all-wheel drive cars for under $3,000.
Scott wanted me to do a four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, under $5,000 list. For number 3, Chevrolet 1500, 5.3 liters. You can usually pick them up cheap for pennies, basically, if you keep away from the newer models. Number 2, Jeep Grand Cherokee, about 90s model. They come with straight axles, 4.0, straight 6. They're dog, pull good, put them in mud and float the valves, you never have a problem. Number 1 pick would have to be K5 Blazer. They usually come with 350s. Straight axles again, usually Dana's. They're gas hogs, but you pick them up real cheap. And they'll get you out of any sticky situation you ever want. So that's my top 3, and thanks guys.
Okay, Scott, my picks for the 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, 5500 and under. What I like, I've got a few choices. What's really cool is you got like early 80s Land Cruiser, works freaking awesome. I had a buddy that had one, had a small block Chevy in it, and they're really just amazing out on a trail. Most of mine are going to be something more along those lines because, you know, you can drive those anywhere and they're pretty cool. So something like that you can probably pick up under that 5500. It may not be, you know, completely done, but you can certainly do something with it. The other thing I like is, and I've owned one of these myself, is something like a 77 Blazer, you know, Chevy Blazer. You get that with a small block in it as well. They're easy to maintain. The best one is the 4-speed on the floor. It's got that granny gear low. You can freaking crawl a wall with that thing. Had one, it was awesome. 6-inch lift, all the parts for them are cheap, cheap, cheap. So those are cool. And my final pick would be what I own now, which is a 91 Jeep Cherokee Laredo. It's got the inline 6 in it, but you can get them, the XJs, they're awesome crawlers, but they make it a little bit easier to drive every day because they've got that inline 6, so it makes it easy to do. And those are my 3 picks, man. You can get all of those for under $5,000 if you're good, and you can modify the hell out of them, so good stuff. All right.
Hey Scott, thanks for having me on the show, man. So top 3 all-wheel drive cars for under $5,500. My number 3 is going to be Subaru Impreza 04 to 05 model. The front headlights are not quite as bug-eyed as the previous model, so I like those a little bit more. Obviously, go with the 5-speed, kind of the go-to. You can take your kids to school. You can take the car rallying. It's just great all-around vehicle. My number 2 is going to be a Suzuki Samurai. Mid to late 80s, just nice little rock crawling type vehicles. My dad has worked on a few of them, and they're just little, they're like a little Jeep. They're real cute. I like them a lot. And my number 1 is going to be 84 to 88 Toyota truck. My dad has owned several of these. One of them unfortunately got stolen, and the other one a drunk driver slammed into. Technically totaled the truck, even though it still drove, but the frame was way, way bent. So kind of shows how resilient they really are. For all 3 of these vehicles, I would personally choose manual transmission. I've never owned an automatic, so manual for all of them. So yeah, that's my top 3 cars, and yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
We got a lot of different choices for you, whether you live in the country or the city. Whether you have a family and a dog to carry around skiing, or single and want to just head out off-road. You know, there is no right or wrong choices here. Hopefully this gave you some ideas from a bunch of car guys of what you can get for under $5,500. Let us know your choice in the comments below. And now, on to smoking some brisket. Alright, first what you need to do is get your favorite drink. Homemade Moscow Mule. So, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 1/4 cup of paprika, 1/4 cup of garlic powder, and put 3/4 cup of brown sugar. Now this aged for a couple weeks, so it's a little pungent, so we rinse it off before we get it on the cutting board. Dry it off with paper towels. You'll be yeah. Alright, now we're just going to want to trim some of this fat off the top. You don't want too much fat on top, but you still want to leave some. I'm no professional and I haven't won any contests, but this is how I do it. Good. So the fat cap. We want to take a little bit off, but I'm going to leave a little bit on, about half of it, because I want that flavor. Some people like all of the fat on. Some people take all of the fat off. So it's just personal preference. I take a little bit off, but I still want some to get in that marbly flavor.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Onto the gurney. All right, we'll just wrap this up, put it in the fridge, and tomorrow morning, depending on what time I get up, hopefully early, then we'll throw it on the smoker. I'm gonna put this puppy in some foil overnight. We got a later start than expected, but we got the brisket and we're ready to smoke it. Now you want to get your smoker and cook this at 220 to 250 degrees. A digital thermometer is really nice. I have a Ready Check. There's tons of them out there though. Fuel for the smoker. I just used whatever I had in my garage. I had some hardwood lump charcoal, some Kingsford hickory wood, and also some 100% natural hickory wood chunks where I just soak them in water and they give a nice smoky flavor to whatever you're cooking. There's no right or wrong way to cook brisket. You can do it fat side up or fat side down. What I like to do is fat side down, then all of my ingredients on top are gonna stay and not wash away, but this is highly debated. What I do after cooking 90 minutes, I spray apple juice on the brisket. Okay, we're 2 hours in, and I'm gonna turn this baby around now. Now this side's real thin, so I'm not gonna leave this for too long that way. Every half hour, I like to spray it with apple juice. I've been throwing some of these in. Just a little bit, and it's right at 225 right now. Throw a couple of these soaked wood chips in, and that'll get even more smoky flavor for us. Here's what a brisket looks like 5 hours in. Now on a cold winter's day like this, if you have a budget smoker that's not too thick like I do, it's really hard to keep the temperature up. Doesn't that look awesome? That looks incredible. This stalled at 150 degrees about an hour and a half ago. Now if your brisket stalls, there's a method called the Texas crunch. What you do is you double wrap it in foil and then stick it back in, and hopefully it'll get past that 150 mark. Okay, we got our Texas crunch going, and we're gonna stick this back in here and let it fly for the next couple of hours. Okay, let's take a look at our brisket. Oh, where's the brisket? Oh, well, I have company coming in like just about an hour, and I couldn't get the temp up because of this stuff. It's just not good enough in cold weather. So I had to shove it in the oven. You know what? Good enough. Good enough. It was 7 hours inside the smoker. And then I couldn't get the temperature up after I wrapped it, and it was just stalling, and it wouldn't go past 150. So I wrapped it and I stuck it in the oven and put it on 300. And now we're about an hour away from our company, and everything is completely where it needs to be. Actually, we need to go take it out right now. It's right at 205. Now, if you're in a hurry and you have company, you want to undo this and just, oh, that looks good. You want to undo this and let it sit out. Just open air, open the foil up, because we're going to eat in about an hour. So we want it to rest for at least 45 minutes so the juices stay in there and nothing gets dried out. Oh, that's yummy. And this side turned out super tender. You can just see how that just falls apart. And any leftovers, we'll just make some brisket chili. And this is why I do this. Cooking a great meal and hanging out. Smoking meats always has that extra special flavor you can't get anywhere else. My cousin and his kids loved every bit. That was a really fun episode. Thank you everybody for watching, and thank you for all the guys who participated from the Nations Challenge. It was good to see you guys again, and thank you for putting your videos in. I know everybody's schedules is really hectic. I got 5 out of 8 of you, and I'm really happy that we just got that amount. Special thanks to Velocity Labs. Erik has taught me how to do all this YouTube stuff. He's taught me a lot about cars too. We've gone through the whole turbo talks and everything. Special thanks to Finnegan and Freiberger from Roadkill. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't even be doing this stuff. You put me on the Nations Challenge, and I really just got into horsepower again and working on cars. So thank you. And thank you everybody for watching. If you want to support the show, Barbecue and Bolts t-shirts, apparel, I'll put the link below. And click like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time. I'm Scott Baxter.